And hello, and welcome to our nursing news you can use at 5 or for today at 5:30. We're running to a slow start today because we had a lot of things on our plate. And this was one of those things that sometimes life happens. So I'm glad for those of you that are tuning in to the Nurse Shark Academy show. And to our Nursing News You Can Use show. Don't forget to also watch us on the Nurse Shark Academy show. And so I wanted to go ahead and start us off today with our affirmations as I get ready for our live show. So today is August the 16th, 2023, and welcome to those of you that are joining us on the Nurse Shark Academy page, and those of you that are joining us for the Baxter Professional Services page, and those of you that are joining us from YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. So, our first affirmation: be happy and a reason will come along. Be happy and a reason will come along. Number two, someday you will look back and understand why it all happened the way it did. Someday you will look back and understand why it all happened the way it did. And lastly, happiness is an inside job. Don't assign anyone that much power over your life. That's a quote from Mandy Hale. And I'll say it again: happiness is an inside job. Don't assign anyone that much power over your life, by Mandy Hale. These are our affirmations and inspirational quotes for today, coming from the Inspirational Daily Calendar by Lauren Dratch. Let's go ahead and get into the news because that's what we're here for. All right, so here's our first story. This is coming from Skilled Nursing News. I thought this was kind of interesting. Not, I didn't even know this was on the radar, so this is interesting news for me. Those of you that are nurses or in the healthcare field, you'll appreciate this. So, it says with CMS, Centers for Medicare Services, etc., nixing mandatory patient satisfaction measure, nursing homes remain, quote, behind the times. I did not even realize that that was on their radar. But let's get into the story. So it says the issue of formally requiring patient surveys for nursing homes, similar to surveys mandated in other segments of healthcare, has long been a source of debate. One getting stirred up again after federal policymakers decided to nix patient satisfaction measures from the recently issued final prospective payment rule for 2024. Excuse me. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services rejected making patient satisfaction a measure in the SNF quality reporting program. The initiative lacked support during the comment period, the federal agency said. The extra funding and time associated with the patient satisfaction measure and fears of even more burdensome regulation defeated efforts to make the measure mandatory, experts told Skilled Nursing News. That said, these types of patient satisfaction measures are useful for improving quality of care, avoiding citations and litigation, with many nursing homes implementing them privately through third parties. So, according to Stephen Littlehale, who's the Chief Innovative Officer at Zimmit Healthcare Services Group, he says the big question is why is, quote, a patient satisfaction measure not mandated for nursing homes? And what's very interesting is that the CAPS nursing home survey has been developed and studied forever. So it's already been out there more than for a long time. The CAPS, or the Consumer Assessment of Healthcare Providers and Systems for hospitals and more recently for home health, are mandatory for those providers. In fact, in 2007, certain hospitals failing to publicly report CAPS results may receive reduced annual payment updates. So these are questions that makes me also wonder, why wouldn't we implement that in nursing homes if you're already doing it in home care? So I also understand that patient satisfaction surveys aren't always the full indicator of things, because people can be upset because they didn't get their Jello on time or something like that. And I'm making a really facetious argument, but it can be down to something as petty as that, that someone would rate the hospital low. So to something really egregious that should be there. And so I understand that, but I'm wondering if we incorporated that in the mindset and the thinking of skilled nursing facilities, would the outcomes be better? And would it help with transparency as well? We have resident councils, and the resident council can make recommendations and complaints and things like that for the residents. But then what if you had to add in those satisfaction scores for their family members and what the family members experience as well? So just curious to see what anybody has to say about this, but I didn't even know that was a thing that was coming down the road for long-term care. So if you have thoughts about it, let me know. There's certainly a lot more in this article, but I'm just going to kind of read the little highlights there. But let me know if you have questions about that or further concerns, and you can always read the full article from Skilled Nursing News. So that was just something in the back of my head that I thought was quite interesting. And so then there's this other information that I thought might be interesting. And this is, again, something for us to think about here in the state of Indiana, because this is a change in the state of Massachusetts, which I think may also help us in Indiana with our shortage of nursing assistants. So it says Massachusetts nursing assistant exams to be offered in Spanish and Chinese. This just came out a couple hours ago. I think this is amazing. NBC News. So this is NBCBoston.com. It says hundreds of aspiring Massachusetts nurse aides can take their certification exams in Spanish and Chinese next year, the start of a multilingual policy that advocates and lawmakers say will tackle a major workforce shortage in nursing homes and other long-term care facilities. The English-only exam for certified nurse aides has prevented non-native speakers, including those with years of nursing experience in other countries, from accessing the entry-level healthcare role here. The new language options were included in a policy section within the fiscal 2024 budget that Governor Maura Healey signed into law last week. But lawmakers say it is only the first step in breaking down barriers from immigrant CNAs and improving care for nursing home residents who don't speak English. And I think that would be very important. It would be great if we had other workers in there that spoke other languages that could help some of our residents. We had an issue with a resident that, because of her dementia, no longer spoke English, and she reverted back to her native Farsi. Fortunately for us, the family was there often enough to help us, but when they weren't, we had one physical therapist that happened to speak Farsi that could help us. Now, I know that there are language lines, and I know that there are translation services, don't get me wrong, but there's something about having someone there that you can talk to in your own language, particularly when you're dealing with someone who has dementia. I remember I had a resident that was from Canada, and she only spoke French because she'd forgotten her English. And fortunately for me, I knew enough French that we can at least communicate somewhat, and I can find out what was wrong with her. Because at that time, we didn't have translation services readily available. So what do you do? And so I think this is important. So I'm excited about that they're doing that in Massachusetts. And as a person who trains CNAs myself, I'm excited about this if this would happen for those that are non-English speakers in Indiana. So this is something we need to look at. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with this story, but I was encouraged by this. And like I said, it just came out. If you want to read more about the story, go to NBC Boston's website and other places, and you can find this story as well. And that brings us to another article. And the reason why I'm bringing this one up is because we had previously reported on this case, and I want to let you know that there is an update. So this is about the nursing home murder case from Warren. So it's going to Superior Court. This is from Rhode Island. It's Warren, Rhode Island. And it says the former nursing home patient accused of killing his roommate earlier this year has once again been charged with murder. Robert Hill, 76, was arrested back in May after 81-year-old John Sullivan was found dead with pillow stuffing in his mouth at Crestwood Nursing Home. He was initially charged with first-degree murder following his arrest, but was later deemed incompetent to stand trial. The Providence County grand jury handed up an indictment last week charging Hill again with first-degree murder, effectively moving the case from district to superior court. In a statement to 12 News, where this was reported, a spokesperson for Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Noronha said the issue surrounding Hill's competence to stand trial will be reevaluated when he's arraigned in the next month. So until then, Hill will continue to be held without bail in custody of the Rhode Island Department of Behavioral Health Care, Developmental Disabilities, and Hospitals. So I just wanted to update you on that case as it's moving forward since we previously reported it. All right, and let's go on to okay. Let's get to this case, this story, because we reported on this last week, and I think even the week before. There's this big debate that's going on again in healthcare, and this is an opinion piece. I believe this is from nurse.org. Let me double check the source here. No, I'm sorry. This is Inside Higher Ed. That's right. This is InsideHigherEd.com. And it says, who should be called doctor? And I thought this was kind of interesting. Because, again, we're talking about the new Georgia law that says only physicians can use the term doctor, MDs. So it says, I'm just going to read this because I just kind of found this interesting. Jennifer Minsick Kennedy, president of the American Nurses Association, remembers the day well. She was at a meeting of administrators at the hospital where she worked, and the physicians there were addressing each other by first name. Minsick Kennedy assumed everyone would be on a first name basis, but when she followed suit, the informal tone of the meeting quickly changed. I was corrected, she recalled. They said, no, this is Dr. Smith. Minsick Kennedy, who has a doctorate in nursing, was indignant. She thought to herself, well, then if I'm going to call you Dr. Smith, you're going to call me Dr. Minsick Kennedy. It was not the first time that she experienced such an air of disrespect from medical doctors who don't believe other healthcare professionals with doctoral degrees, but not MDs, as being actual doctors. And I want to say that this has been a long debate in medicine, because I remember when the DOs got their doctorate and the DOs started coming on in the scene, and they were like, well, you're a doctorate of osteopathic medicine, so you're not really a doctor. I remember those conversations. Then it was chiropractors. Oh, well, you have a doctor, but you're not really a doctor. But we'll call dentists doctors. We've called pharmacists doctors. We've called psychologists doctors. And so now, because it's nurses, it's really become a really big problem. She says the incident reflects a long-running debate within the medical establishment. I'm just going to say that again. Over who should be allowed to be formally and legally call themselves doctor. Associations representing medical doctors, nurses, physician assistants, and other healthcare professionals have lobbied state lawmakers, medical licensing authorities, and government regulators to either limit their use or label of doctor to those who have MDs, or to expand it to anyone in the medical field who has a doctorate. Here's where I stand on this. If you have earned your doctorate, I say you should use it and introduce yourself the same. When I introduce myself to my patients, I say, I am Tina Baxter. I'm the nurse practitioner. I don't say I'm Dr. Tina Baxter. I don't have a doctorate. I have a master's degree. Hope to one day have a doctorate. Haven't been going back and forth with that. But I understand where physicians want their patients to know that they're the physician. I get that. So why don't you introduce yourself as, I'm Dr. Smith, the physician. I'm Dr. Jones, the family practice physician. Why can't you do that? I'm Dr. Wachowski, internal medicine. I don't see where there's a problem. And I'm going to say, as a patient myself, because we are all also patients, we can figure it out. We are making out that the patients are really dumb and confusing. I remember when we had the big debate over who could wear what color scrubs because we didn't want nursing assistants to wear white because that was reserved for nurses. Because we wanted them to know the difference between who was the nurse and who was the housekeeper. And that was a really big thing going to school. And so I understand this whole people need to be identified, but that's what you got a name tag for. And I don't see a problem with you introducing yourself and saying, I'm Dr. Rose, I don't know, Jones, the registered dietitian, if you have a doctoral degree. So this is what it says. It's called the Healthcare Practitioners Truth and Transparency Act. And so if we're going to talk truth and transparency, I think everybody should have to identify who they are. So it regulates how healthcare practitioners, ranging from physician assistants and nurses, nurse practitioners to pharmacists, psychologists, occupational therapists, etc., refer to themselves. It prohibits use of doctor or the prefix doctor by a healthcare provider who is not a licensed doctor of medicine or a doctor of osteopathy in any advertisements. Again, here's my thing. If you're a physician, identify yourself as a physician. That's what MD stands for. That's what DO stands for. Just like for me, GNP stands for gerontological nurse practitioner. It shouldn't be that hard. And if you're going to write this law, in my opinion, because physicians are healthcare practitioners, it should be in there that they have to identify themselves as well. That's my opinion. Now, obviously, I'm a nurse practitioner, so I know that there's going to be physician haters out there that are going to say, "Oh, you're biased." Because I've had this happen before on my channel. I have people come and say, "Oh, you're biased." I would say, yeah, I'm biased, just like you are, because I'm saying that we don't, you know. Are you going to say that dentists can't call themselves physician, doctor anymore? Because that's what you're saying. Now you're saying dentists can't call themselves doctors anymore. Now you're saying that the PhD that's in the what about the astrophysicist? Can the astrophysicists now call themselves doctor now? Or in Georgia, are they not allowed to call themselves a doctor because they have a PhD in physics? But they're not MDs. And so this is where you're getting into that slippery slope. And so part of this is this need to hold on to this relegation of power. It has nothing to do with educating patients, because if you really wanted to educate the patient, you would say, I'm Dr. Smith, your physician. End of story. So Illinois bans the use of the title in advertising, but allow healthcare practitioners to refer themselves as doctor in interactions with patients, as long as they clarify their specific role, which I think everybody should clarify their specific role. Texas and Kentucky allow the use of doctor in advertising, but only if the practitioner also lists a specific type of doctorate degree held. Other states, including California, Connecticut, and Arizona, have made it a misdemeanor or a felony for anyone who is not a licensed physician to use the term at all. So you're going to tell me that those doctors that have their doctorate at Caltech can no longer use their doctor and advertise and put on their door, I'm Dr. So-and-so, because they're not an MD. See, this is what I'm talking about. So they consider it an important transparency measure. I consider it an important transparency measure when you say, I am Dr. So-and-so, your physician. I am Dr. So-and-so, your nurse practitioner. I am Dr. So-and-so, your pharmacist. How hard is that? Yeah. So we'll see what's happening. Yeah, it gets my blood boiling. You know how I am. But that's important. And I think that we really need to start to start breaking it down into what it really is, it's that patriarchal need to control, and we have this old system, and therefore who's ever the doctor is going to have to be the MD, and that may not necessarily be the case. And maybe we need to rethink that whole term of doctor. Embrace the term physician. I encourage my physician colleagues to do so. I would never say I'm a physician. Didn't want to be. Wanted to be a nurse for a reason. So I'm proud to say that I'm a nurse practitioner. But if I choose to get my doctorate, it doesn't mean that I'm not a doctor. It means I'm a nurse practitioner who has a doctorate. Just like you are a physician who is a doctor, who has a doctorate of medicine. So, yeah, that's my opinion. Feel free to disagree. Let's get into it. All right, let's move on because I wanted to share some other good news. And before we get to this, so this is quite interesting. This is another commentary, and this came from the Indiana Capital Chronicle. I just happened on it today. It just came out today on this evening, and I was just curious about it. So let's get into it. And it says, healthcare is on life support, but nurse practitioners can help. And again, this is an opinion piece. I always let you know when there's an opinion piece, but I'm curious about what their opinion would be. And it says, as a nurse practitioner in Indiana, I have seen firsthand, that not me, but this person speaking, the effects of our state's outdated healthcare workforce laws, patients suffering from preventable and chronic disease conditions worsened by inadequate access to care. Many people in Indiana must wait weeks or months for appointments, travel a significant distance to see a provider, and endure costly inefficiencies and inequities within the healthcare system. As the National Conference of State Legislatures brings together policymakers from around the nation to learn from each other in Indianapolis during its annual 2023 summit, I know our host legislators will represent Indiana well. What I really hope for is our lawmakers will speak with their colleagues from the 27 states who have already modernized their state laws to ensure patients have full and direct access to nurse practitioner care and more choice in their health care. Hoosiers are in desperate need of increased healthcare access. Indiana was a shocking 35th overall in the latest United Health Foundation's America's Health Rankings, which cites a high prevalence of multiple chronic conditions among state residents. Appointment times are a very real obstacle to obtaining care in Indiana, and that I can certainly attest to as a personal practice. Sometimes it's difficult to get in. The American Association of Nurse Practitioners recently released the results of a national survey of U.S. adults that found that more than 40% of respondents experience a longer than reasonable wait for a healthcare appointment. So, in March of 2023, let me back up. It says more than half of the U.S. states have retired this outdated requirement and taken steps to ensure patients have full and direct access to NPs. What is this requirement? The outdated requirement, let's see, basically what it says is that as an NP, nurse practitioners have to contract with a physician, essentially obtain a permission slip before we can legally provide care that we are educated and board certified to provide. This outdated requirement costs the state in reduced healthcare outcomes, diminished access to care, impaired health workforce recruitment and efficiency, and real dollars. And it has no beneficial impact on the actual delivery of care. And I can certainly say this for a fact because what it amounts to is a physician looking at charts after the person's been seen, never actually having to see the patient themselves, and basically ticking a box, signing a piece of paper. Never really actually having to interact with the patient at all in a lot of systems. Okay, and so let's go on. And so it says more than half of the U.S. states have retired this outdated requirement. In March of 2023, Utah became the 27th state to adopt this policy called Full Practice Authority. Full Practice Authority authorizes NPs to practice the care they were currently delivering Patients, evaluating, diagnosing, ordering, and interpreting tests, initiating and managing treatments, and prescribing medications under the exclusive licensure authority of the State Board of Nursing and without a state mandated contract with a physician. In other words, allowing us to do what we've been trained to do, not expanding, we're not asking for expansion, but allowing us to do what we've been trained to do to the full extent of what we can do. And so they're wanting Indiana to follow this, what the lead of other states. And it says modernization of licensure laws is a no cost, no delay solution for states to help solve their growing healthcare challenges. And so this again is an opinion piece, and I happen to agree with the opinion. I've been stated this, you know that I do. So I'm not. This is Angela Thompson, who is a board member of the American Association of Nurse Practitioners and the past president of the Coalition of Advanced Practice Nurses of Indiana, of which I am a member. And so, yeah, I'm going to just say it out here. I think that only makes sense to allow nurse practitioners to practice to the full extent of what they can, thereby alleviating some of the burdens and regulatory hurdles that don't make sense. That don't make sense. It would be different if we were talking about, you know, adding on extra things and doing all. No, we're not talking about that. We're just saying, hey, this is what we've been trained to do. Let us do what we've been trained to do without the extra burden. That's really not doing anything to make the care any better. And it's not like we're not going to collaborate with other people, because I just emailed my supervisor the other day and said, hey, got this question. What do you think about this? How about this? A couple weeks ago, supervisor emailed all of the prescribers and said, hey, got this problem. What do you think about this? What should I do about this? Anybody encountered this? We do this all the time. It's something natural that we do. So I think this false narrative of that the collaboration won't happen without this piece of paper is ludicrous. So let's move on. Okay, so let's get on to this. Should be some good news. This is from nurse.org, and it says Biden's $100 million nursing workforce investment. Some key takeaways. So Biden has pledged $100 million for nurses. That's great. This is to grow the nursing workforce in the U.S. The funding aims to train more registered nurses, nurse practitioners, certified nurse midwives, and nursing faculty to meet the increasing demand for nurses and address the nursing shortage. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics project the need for over 600,000 additional nurses by 2025 to meet patient demand. The $100 million investment will help fund training programs to prepare more nurses to fill the gap. So we're grateful for that. A little bit of a drop in the bucket, but hey, grateful for that. Thank you for getting that done. We'll see how that works out. But I just thought I'd give you a little happy news on the horizon. And then for our nurse making a difference, I found this story and I was inspired because in nursing, we have our very own Doogie Howser. Okay, so a 16-year-old nursing student makes history at ACU. Elena Tenenbaum graduates with a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. So in the 80s, there was Doogie Howser, MD. In 2021, Disney created Dr. Kamiloa, MD, about a genius 16-year-old doctor in Hawaii. Now Hollywood has another storyline they can run with. Arizona State University has produced what could be the youngest nurse in America at age 16. I think this is awesome. Elena Tenenbaum, she comes from Thousand Oaks, California. She recently completed an accelerated nursing program and earned a bachelor's of science in nursing from ASNU, that's Arizona State University, Eaton's College of Nursing and Health Innovation. The program itself took 16 months to complete with no shortage of hard work, clinical simulations, and hands-on experience, the same as one would expect from a typical 4-year degree nursing program. But Tenenbaum is anything but your typical student. She breezed through high school by doubling up on college courses and obtaining a diploma in a year and a half, thanks to the help of her devoted school counselors who guided her every step of the way. Her mother, Maya Tenenbaum, who also has a PhD. Maya said Elena's dream was to become the youngest nurse in America, and just like everything else she set her minds to, she executed her plan. Maya credits ASU's forward thinking program for allowing Elena and others with diverse backgrounds, both young and old, to make their dreams come true. Elena's father is a physician who encouraged her to explore that curiosity by allowing her to give him a B12 shot one day, and the rest is history. Elena and about 60 other nursing graduates were recognized for completing their BSN at a summer celebration ceremony. So I want to say congratulations to Elena. Welcome to the tribe. And you are this week's nurse making a difference. And so I'm excited about this. Um, She's also earned her learner's permit to drive, and we're working on getting her official's driver's license so she can secure her first nursing job. She also plans for her next collegiate adventure, which is earning her doctorate of nursing practice. So, congratulations to her. I think that's wonderful. And that's our nurse making a difference. That wraps up our stories for today. Excited about that. And also, I want to say that we do have some events coming up, and I want to make sure that I let you know what they are. So, today, if you missed it, we had our alignable event, our wake up event. It was called our alignable, what do we call it? Morning huddle. That's it. It was our morning huddle today. In a couple weeks, we'll be going to Cultured Urban Winery for our alignable event. So that will be on actually next week. That is next week for our Anderson Alliance Sip and Go at Cultured Urban Winery at 6. So we'll be there. So those of you that are on our alignable page and in our Anderson Alliance, please don't forget to sign up for that. Next week, we also have, not next week, but the following week on the 30th, we have a CPR class available. So if you need to get your CPR class, and nursing students, I'm speaking with you, especially if you've not had CPR before or healthcare provider CPR. Come get your BLS so you can get ready for clinicals. We have our class on August the 30th, 9 o'clock. You can register for that on the Baxter Professional Services Health Education page, Baxter Professional Services Health Education.com. We also have our Fall Back in Love with Nursing workshop. This is our workshop that will be on August the 30th at 4 o'clock. And that's online. And so you may have seen the ads go out for that. But those of you that are interested in nurse and nurse entrepreneurship, and maybe you're just exploring what you want to do next in your career as a nurse, this is a workshop for you. So you need to sign up for that. It's free. It's our online workshop. Then we also have at 3 o'clock, right before that workshop, we have a basic TB validation course, so that you are more than welcome to join us for that. And then we also are now registering for our certified nursing assistant program. So if you're interested in that program, hop over to the Baxter Professional Services page and you can register for that. For the Fall Back in Love with Nursing workshop, you register on the Nurse Shark Academy .biz page. All right, so those are the events that we have for the rest of this month. A lot of great things that are happening. Very excited to do that. And don't forget to check out our Nurse Shark Academy show, where we will highlight nurse business owners and leaders. And we just had a legal nurse consultant on there that talked about her background. We have coming up some other nurses, nurse writers. We've had nurse educators, just a lot of different nurses that are doing some really cool things. And if you are a nurse and you own a business and you want to tell us about what your business does and how you became a nurse and got into entrepreneurship, let us know, and we'll be sure to see if we can have you on the Nurse Shark Academy .biz show. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. We went a little bit over, but this is all good. Have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you next week. And I want to say hello again to those that are on our Nurse Shark Academy page. Don't forget to sign up and subscribe to those of you that are new on our YouTube page. Sign up to our channel, subscribe, leave us a comment, please, and give us a like and a thumbs up on some of our videos. We want to share this content. So please share it with others so that they'll know what's happening in our nursing profession and also what's happening in the world of entrepreneurship. All right. Thank you. Bye bye for now.